One of the most frequently asked questions I get from those who are creators or at least endeavoring to become creators in some form of fashion, whether it's creating videos like this, whether it's writing, whether it's, even building a business or whatever it may look like, is how are you able to generate so many ideas? And by the way, I'm not using AI or any type of machinery. Again, I'm not saying that you're lesser than if you do so. I'm just saying I don't use those mechanisms. I appreciate the process of like getting downloads, right? But I get the question like, how do you come up with so many ideas to continuously execute on those ideas? And I've always had the saying is that you will always have more ideas in life than you do life, right? You can live to 121 years old and you will still have more creative ideas than you will life. It's just that most of us are so far removed from that creative aspect of ourselves, which I believe is a core of who we are, right? We were formulated and created by a creator. Therefore, we are inherently creators ourselves. And we see that all around us. Everything around us is a form of creation. This camera, this ring light, this microphone right here, the seat behind me, everything that you see behind me, my girl who made me this incredible piece back here. All of this is a creation. This started as a formulation in somebody's mind as an idea first and then was brought into this physical experience that we call life. And so when people ask me, how do you create so many ideas? I say, first and foremost, you are an idea generating machine already. Like that is your default state. It's just getting you back into that default state. And what holds most of us back is the belief itself, right? Our beliefs are going to dictate what our lives become. Therefore, if we have a belief that I'm not creative, I'm not able to come up with anything, we're going to get mental blockages that continuously interface with us, and we won't be able to produce the things that we truly want to be creative in the ways that we desire and know that we can. Now, I've been an individual who, I might have many areas in life where I still have to work on heavily, but when it comes to creation, it's always come very straightforward, seamlessly for me, right? I've always been somebody who can come up with dozens, if not hundreds of ideas in a day if I really wanted to, whether it was video, music, writing, etc. And one of my greatest secrets, and it's not really a secret, it's kind of like an open secret. All professional creatives know this at some level, is that you do not wait on the muses to come to you. You must go somewhere where you will meet the muses. Now, for anybody who doesn't know the muses, it's basically an analogy of the ones that influence, creation, right? The ones in the great beyond who influence creation. Obviously, it's not a real phenomenon, or at least we don't know if it is. However, it's an analogy to say you don't wait for inspiration to hit you as a true creative. You are always putting yourself in the best case scenario for inspiration to come to you. And guess what? If you want inspiration to come to you every single day, it will. But the only way it does, get this, come in closer, bring your ear right here. Unless you got headphones in, then you'll hear this loud and clear. Make time for creation and creation will show up. Or even better, make time for inspiration. Get this one. Make time. I hope you're taking notes actually. Bring out some kind of notebook, some kind of thing you can make notes on. Make time for inspiration and inspiration will meet you where you are. Period. I know it sounds so crazy, so simple, yet if you look up your greatest actors, your greatest authors, screenwriters, business entrepreneurs, etc., you're going to find out that they have this thing in common, which is they will create a time, a designated space, a designated area within their own schedule where all they will do is the thing that they say that they desire to do. So I create this time designated to create video content, and that's what I'm going to do. Now, am I guaranteed that it's going to be the greatest video that I ever created or ever produced? It doesn't have to be. I will aspire towards that, but it doesn't have to be. If I sit down, do I expect to always have the greatest chapter that I've ever written of a book? It might be, but it might not be. If I sit down to write that screenplay, is it always going to be the greatest scene that ever, hit cinema or TV? Absolutely not. Sometimes it's absolute trash, but you know what's going to happen is something is going to come. If I make that time simply for that activity, it's going to come, right? A person like Jerry Seinfeld, who a lot of people don't think is that funny as a comedian. I think he can be very funny at times, but he's not my favorite type of comedian. but he's still one of the most prolific, one of the greatest, and he's worth almost $1 billion through comedy alone. He hasn't done anything else, no other ventures. He has always simply done comedy, right? It's been stand-up, it's been Seinfeld. That's really what Seinfeld has done in his life, and he's become, worth like $700 million, right? Through what he loves. And what he said he does as a process is he makes time to write every single day, and he'll sit down, and then he'll write. And if nothing comes out, he will not move from that place for the entirety of that time. Now, what happens when you do this, whether you make 30 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, is you will sit there with yourself with that open canvas, that open book, that open whatever it is, and you will quickly realize that I'm going to sit here extremely bored, or I'm going to just start writing something. Now, again, most people will think that this does not that this doesn't relate to their situation. You might think, no, you don't understand. My writer's block is so bad. I haven't been able to write anything for 30 years. I don't care if you've never written anything. If you force yourself to literally sit there and use your willpower, which again, I don't recommend for creating long-term habits. I believe in creating systems that are going to help you with your neurology and your psychology. But when you're doing this specifically, when you're simply saying, I'm going to create, and you sit with yourself 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, what's going to happen is you're going to kick into a state we call boredom, and your phone's going to be calling you louder than ever, and the fridge is going to be calling you louder than ever, and the things and the people and the places are going to be calling louder than ever. But guess what? You're not going to give in to them. Right now is your sacred time to create. And once you devote yourself to the sacred time to create, what's going to happen is eventually something is going to come out of you. It is a natural byproduct of when you create designated time and designated spaces for these things. The thing is, most of us just simply do not make that time. We make more excuses than we do make time for ourselves. Let me lock this up. Hopefully my phone wasn't exposed on there. People could see my messages. Okay, nope. Definitely out of view. Out of sight, out of mind, y'all. So when we talk about this thing of writer's block, what we're really talking about is our lack of discipline or our lack of intentionality when it comes to creation. Right? You may think to yourself, well, I'm a creative and creatives just need to go off of a whim. That's not necessarily true, especially if you're going to be a professional at creating, especially if you're going to do this, let's say for a living, or you want to make this something more than just a hobby that you're doing some of the time. If you're serious about this and you're honest with yourself, like you want to make this something that you're doing for your existence, you have to become a professional about it. Now, one of the greatest books I ever read on this, and it speaks deeply on the subject of resistance, which is the only thing that's really getting in your way of creating ever, is The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. One of the greatest books ever written on this subject. He also wrote a book called Do the Work and Turning Pro. All of them I recommend, but number one is The War of Art, just to simply understand the frame of mind that I'm talking about. Right? And once you realize that there is no such thing as writer's block, it is all a belief system, you will start to see an outpour of ideas. Again, you start to shift those subconscious beliefs. You stop letting the resistance in multitudes of forms get in the way, whether it's you getting yourself into trouble, into toxic relationships, into addictions, into, petty arguments, whatever it is. These different forms of resistance, once you start to recognize them for what they are, that they're trying to basically block and stop you from doing the thing that you truly desire to do, the thing that's actually going to move your life forward, then you will start to recognize that, oh, I am the only one in my way. There is no outer force that is like blocking me necessarily, right? There is no internal aspect of me that is lacking, that is stopping me from creating. It is all a byproduct of your belief system. Now, if this was value to you, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to like this video immediately. And if you're somebody who is just looking to make a transition in that creative space, again, I recommend that book. I'm going to drop a link to it in the description below. Make sure to get yourself a copy of it. Again, I'm going to drop an affiliate link, so at least, I'll probably get something off of it, but it matters more to me that you get it. Like if you didn't get it on Amazon, you picked it up at the bookstore, you got it on another link, I honestly don't care, but I'm going to drop that link down below. And that's a way that you can show love as well as actually start taking steps within your own creative endeavor, within your own life purpose. Because what I am here for at the end of the day is to empower us into a place of self-love, personal power, and life purpose. Step into your God-given purpose now. Love you. Appreciate you. Peace.